All right, how's it going, everyone? This is Anon. None of this is financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. How's everybody's weekend going? Sorry, weekday going. Coming off of the weekend. Yep, just started. What's up, Jerry? What's up, Yes? How are you guys? How's everybody doing? Taking this and just posting a copy message link. It's probably better this way. Okay, let's try it this way. What's up, Hustle? What's up, Lemon? How are you guys? Yeah, so I was actually walking around the woods today because, I don't know if some of you guys saw, but I went to a Renaissance festival. A little pissed at whoever was manipulating ATER. It's probably just a spring test, to be honest. If we kind of zoom out, we can kind of see usually before any run-ups you usually push down to a low, and then at that point it will run. Like, we pushed down here, sprang up. Pretty much any, major runs start with it getting pushed down first. So if you look, this was a spring up. My guess would be this will be pushed down. They're going to try to go for an all-time low. Probably they just hit it today. Did you drink vino at the fest? No, I actually was drinking mead mixed with beer because it was Renaissance, And unfortunately for me, I was taking pictures throughout the whole thing of my family, and I was even taking pictures back at the car, like we were leaving. And I was putting away, literally, I have a backpack and the stroller, and I think it fell out of those. And what I learned today when I went over there, dragon mead. I think they called it a bee sting or something. I don't know. But what essentially they did was I went over to the parking lot where I think I dropped it. But I have a Find My Phone thing, and, I'm sitting there looking for, my phone on the ground, and I see a guy in a golf cart, and I was like, hey, by any chance, have you seen this? And he's like, I'm going to be honest with you, man. He's like, so every single night during these fairs, he's like, there's a mobile home park that's down the street, and he's like, those kids in there come through these things and just basically pick it clean for, so I went to Find My Android thing, and I was looking at it, and it literally, I followed out this thing, and sure enough, it mapped out right across the street. That's where someone turned it off. So they were smart enough to know that it was probably being tracked, so they shut off the power. But it was right across the street from this mobile home community, so I just want the pictures back and my phone back. So I'm like, I think I'm just going to go and put up a bunch of signs around the area that just say cash reward, because I think they just chucked it in the woods. I'm just going to be I'll give you $500 for it, because the phone's worth way more to me. So I think I'm just going to offer a cash reward for it and see if magically it gets found, because it's useless to them. They can't get into the phone. I've already locked it. So, all it's going to be is a big brick to somebody, because they can't, get past that, and nobody they can't resell it because the screen's locked. So, anyway. All right. Earthium, no moon. Not yet. I was going to say, like I said, most of the time, whenever you see these springs, whenever you hit them, typically you'll see, a run-up afterwards, right? So, you had this huge drop, pushed down to a new low, spring, hits all the way up to 19. Obviously, the floats change throughout here, but here you go. Russia invades. Everything's getting crappy. Pushes down. Springs up, right? Yep, the dip before the rip. So just like Wyckoff, you know, we've been in this accumulation pattern. We'll go through, and I'll pull up Wyckoff if you guys want, but I'm not really, you know, to me, I'm not stressed at all. I look at this going, yeah, like, pff, give me these dips before I can buy them, before, you know. Here we go. So, we'll do our Wyckoff distribution and Wyckoff accumulation. Here we go. I'm resaving these because they're not at the top then. There we go. All right, so let me open these up real quick and I'll go through and we'll just take a look at them. All right, so they should have saved to downloads, I think. All right. So you get pushed down, right? Hit this, auto rally, spring test, get here, push against the upper resistance line, right? Then you get just nailed down. You know, this right here is the actual spring. These ones here are basically like mini springs on the support lines. So what do we find out in the past on this thing, right? So if we were to draw out some supports, we had this area of support, right, which was like around 242, I think, or 245, something like that, roughly. So that's, I think, one of these support lines is probably this one up here, right? So remember, the spring is supposed to be lower than the second support line. So if we look here, we push down past that one first there, push down across here, then hit that bottom one, right, at 210, and then we moved up from there, right? Back up. Now we're supposed to, look at this. We go back up, right? Now we're supposed to hit the spring before we start going back up. Like, this is literally textbook Wyckoff. So, remember, here was the first level, here's the second level, right? 210. So we bounced off it there, hit up, came off, hit this mini support one of the 220s, and that's been where everything's been consolidating for a while. We pushed all the way to 3-something, came back down, tested this once. Now we're going to go test the second support, and we should see a tiny bit lower, I think, because if this is following this particular pattern, you're going to break through this 210 support line, and you should see like a 210 is down here. You should break through this 210 support line, and then we should see our all-time low, and at that point we'll see some recovery back into the like 210s, 220s, my guess is, and then from here we should see some rips. Now this would be about like 3-something here is my guess, and that's where the warrants are, and that's them pushing it up, right? That's if it's, you know, 1. If it's 2, it can go more like this, which is you come down, right, auto rally, come back up, test the resistance line, push down to this like all-time low. That would be the 210 here, and then at this point it's consolidation until it moves up in different waves. But I think right now we're looking more like 1 than we are 2, in my opinion. I don't think it's going to be 142. I think at this point right now, if we did some quick math, we can take a look real quick and see that. So shares outstanding right now on Tyrion are, pull up Ortex Fintel, and we'll take a look, because I haven't been tracking it as much as I used to, just because I've been busy at work. Like I didn't look at any stocks today until the end of the day, and I was able to buy some at 209 or 208.5, just 1,500. But you know, I need to rush out the order because I was like, I don't know if this is going to hang out down here much longer. It was coming up at the end of the day. So, let's see. They have it as shares outstanding 265. That doesn't look right. Let me check Fintel. Fintel's got Ethereum. I'll just show you what I'm looking at here. So shares outstanding they're saying is 265. I don't think that's right. So let's try ownership. Sorry, hold on. Obviously, completely unpredictable. Oh, sorry. Like all-time low, yes, you're right. It was 142. The float was a lot different back then, but for them to get the stock down there again, let's just say, I don't know why it's, let's do this. Here is... They should give us a share count. Give me a second. Yeah, it's 6. Yeah, right here. So I don't know why it's so hard for Fintel and Ortex to have the right numbers. Like the shares outstanding right now is 169. Let me see how Dilution Tracker did it versus them. But the other guys still have it at 65 million, unless there's something like wonky that those shares haven't. At least they're closer. Dilution Tracker at least has them at 68.39, which is better than Fintel's 65 million and Ortex's 65 million. So what's going on, what's going on, Random? Yeah, like they've got the float or the like shares outstanding as 69 for the filing. And then these guys have it at 68, which is closer. But the other two have it 69. But either one, let's just... so if we take... Let's use dilution trackers. So we'll take 68, 390, 123. Here, I'll show you guys, sorry. And our share price right now is... So we have a market cap of 152 mil right now, right? So at 142, that would be a 97 million market cap. So if we go to their filings, we pull up the last 10Q. They've got, as of here, total assets listed as 284. They've got liabilities right now at 200. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, that would be basically, they have it at, what was it? Yeah, so the equity right now is 284, and then we're talking about 97 million. I mean, that's pushing it. You're basically getting, like, your current assets right now are like 128, and for it to go down to 97, that's pretty aggressive to go below current assets, in my opinion. Like you can discount some, inventory and maybe get it roughly that down there, but that's I mean, at that point it's a buy, because as long as Ethereum isn't going out of business, you're basically buying it for the same exact price that your assets are worth. So, but yeah, I mean, to me this just looks like Wyckoff. Like it looks like Wyckoff accumulation 1, which is here, just a reminder. So if we map out, here are your upper bands, right? So here were your resistances up here at 7, I think, and so here was the first one. So we could draw lines out. I can change the color of this if you want. That's a fib line. But let's just add one up here. Drawing price line. Make it thicker. I'm not going to do the joke. So there's one of them there. That would be the higher one, and then the lower one should be down here in the 4 or 5s, I think. Probably be roughly around like maybe the 38. So we could do let's get it out. There we go. Somewhere around here-ish. Make that one, I don't know, a little thicker, and let's make it white or something. So remember, this is where the warrants are, and then down here, these are your 2. I don't know, we'll make that one a different color too. Oops, that's a fib line. I guess I'm going to have to draw it out. $2.10. Make it thicker, and we'll make this one, I don't know, blue. Alright, there you go. So, my guess would be, if we're following this one right here, this would be us breaking through here for the spring, and then we could see a move up here. So if this is, say, like 190 something, or even like 180 something, technically they could go all the way down to 142 if they really wanted to test the all-time low. There's just no volume on Ethereum to like fight it. So like, unless all of a sudden retail was like massively buying, that's the only thing that would be harder for them to push it. They're going to push it down until they find basically some support. And that will be, possibly institutions buying down here, retail, whoever. But once that happens, then you'll see probably a move back up. If this is 210 and this is 220, then this would be like 240s. Back test down to the 210 line, back up, retest here against the support line, which is 220s, and then this would be probably about like 320, which is where the warrant's at. We would push down from there, and then this is where they would make that big push, like up here, and then we'd be consolidating around these resistance lines of probably 5 and maybe 7. That would be my guess. And then at that point, this is where they're either going to, sell and then push it back down, or they're going to push it higher, because at this point they have their 7 million shares, and if they want to, they can push it a little bit higher, and then have retail buying in, because at that point we've made a move from 1 all the way to 7, and then at that point, for them, they've made pretty good money. So that's kind of what I'm seeing. If people are interested in that, I feel like that's a pretty good explanation, which is why I'm not freaked out by this, because to me this just looks like Wyckoff accumulation, like to the T. Like, we can point out like every single run on here on the macro. So like, you literally could draw these out, And then this would be probably the new area where they do it. So if we were just to look at this possibly, like here, you would see it falling down. You spring, you move up to these resistance lines, which is here. So this one would be this one. And then it would back test here, bounce off that, come down, retest it. This one didn't go up high enough to retest it, but then at that point, this is the major push down, right? Hits the first level support, or even cut through it. Yeah, it cut through, I think. Or even bounced off that one. But either way, I'll move it back over. This is just accumulation during this time. At some point, they would want us to run back up. We haven't ran back up. I think this was probably the closest one we got to it. So this was the 320 run that kind of came out of nowhere. All right, but I mean, on the RSI, we're pretty cool. Like we're pushing down towards oversold. Right here, you can see the MACD. You know, they pushed this down. Like you can see right here, all the indicators. This is your ADL, right? So this is your accumulation distribution. They've been pushing it down. So this is when they're probably like confirm it, but how'd they do with shorts today? Looks like they added. Right, and it doesn't take much at this point, right? So, I mean, yeah, I mean, it doesn't look like they did much. They shorted what, like 200K, something like that. So, but I mean, everyone has to remember, this is the estimated, like they're shorting a couple million, but like this isn't like backbreaking. Even though it's still 25% cost to borrow, they're doing it on a couple, million, which is for them like small potatoes for most of these like firms that are doing it. Because most of these firms that are short on it probably are the same ones that are basically like they just push it up and down. This is what these guys do. The biggest mistake that we made was we assumed that Armistice was long because of the private placement, and then basically what ended up happening is they dumped everything out and then reset all the FTDs and all that stuff. So this time we kind of have a better plan and kind of understand more what Armistice is all about. So we just assumed because they did the private placement, they would probably want the company to do well. And they still might because they have 7 million shares down here, and they can easily push the stock up if they want to. So, but with shipping rates coming down, they have a possibility of making even more money if they want to, because there could be some good news on the side of Ethereum. So, it all depends on how they want to play it. They can either take the free easy cash of just pushing the stock price up, because all you have to do is take a couple million and slap the ask, and the stock, because it has no volume, will just fly up. And at that point, once it gets some volume, once it moves over 10%, that brings in day traders, it brings in swing traders, it brings in people who are just looking to like kind of do a quick couple day swing. So that's where I see this all going. Anyone got any questions? What do I think of rum? I think it's delicious. Sorry. Let me check it out. Rumble. Let's see if there's any red flags off the bat. So we'll go to our friendly dilution tracker. We'll pull up rum. They haven't indexed it, so it's too new, it looks like. Let's take a look. See if Ortex has anything on them. Rum. Let's take a look. That's the wrong tab. Okay, here we go. Okay. So you got rum sitting here, and all right. Looks like they've been shorting it up at this level. It looks like they borrowed a bunch of shares, and they're starting to short it, obviously, because it ran up to 16. And the question is, why? Ticker's been around since December of 2021. Why is it running up now? It IPO'd today. Why does it have was this all like SPAC kind of thing? Oh, it runs a SPAC, yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, why is the ticker down here? But this is 10, so that would make sense. Yeah, so it ran up to, what was that, 18. And then it's consolidating around the 10, which is what it's supposed to be worth roughly when you do a SPAC. No threshold. Curious to see. Let's take a look at their float. So I can't tell you a whole lot when I don't know the shares outstanding. Let's see if we can find that. So how's everyone's week going? Is this... No, that's not the right ticker. Hold on. RUM. I don't see them on... I'll show you guys, but I don't see them. Rocky Mountain Liquor. I don't think that's it. Nice. Boundary Waters Canoeing and Fishing. Good stuff. So where's this rum ticker? So maybe I type in Rumble. That's Australian. Is this it? No. Yeah, I don't see. I mean, I'm sure they probably filed something. Maybe we can look in the SEC filings, but like, then I have to like dig a bunch. Rum, I don't know. Did they put out a 8K or 10K or anytime? Rumble stock, SEC filings. Let's see if that comes up. I mean, here's a... Here's like an prospectus, but like, it's not really what I'm looking for. It's not Rumble on, right? Look up ticker. Rum. Is it Cruzen International? Malt liquor or malt beverages? I don't think so. No, because you said it was Rumble. I don't see any filings. I can't give you anything because honestly, I can't find enough information on this. It looks pretty brand new. I mean, the volume was okay, I guess, but it's all relative. So maybe there's some stories on it. Oh, it was CFVI. Okay, so they... Well, wait a second. Rumble ticker CFVI. It's a YouTube competitor? Are we sure? Because Rumble is something else. You're talking about Rumble Inc. Or are you talking about this CF acquisitions? Yeah, I mean, most SPACs, after they go, they'll get pushed down. Hustle's right. So I would imagine at some point, because it's not like getting a ton of volume, you'll see it maybe run, maybe consolidated and then pushed down, or you could just see an immediate drop. It really just depends. But it looks like they've already started to short this thing. Like off the bat. They borrowed a bunch and then started shorting it. Because Hustle's right, they will probably at some point come to earth at some, yeah, SPAC, be warned. Yep. No CF acquisition. They own Rumble, the app, chat app. Okay. Yeah, I don't know a ton about this ticker, so I'm not going to be able to give you a ton of information until I can kind of see some filings. I have not looked into this one, so... All right. Shareholders didn't ask for a refund. You can be what you want. How did everything else do today? I really wasn't on the market at all. Like, I literally was like crawling through the woods, and then after that I was, hanging out and finishing up a bunch of paperwork in the office. So I logged on at the very end of the day, saw ATER was down. So Bad Bath did nothing. It went sideways. It's in consolidation. Volume's dead on it. How did GME do? GME looks like it's basically just hanging out, consolidating. Looks pretty much like it's starting to cross over on some of these indicators. It looks like it's trying to cross over here on the TTM squeeze. It got a positive one on the CCI. It's still hanging out here with this price and trend volume. This has been a long time trend, which is they've been pushing the ADL down while at the same time these levels remain high of buying. And then it looks like this right here, the MACD's crossed over positive, and you're starting to see some slight uptick in the RSI. So that's good. AMC, everyone's favorite movie company, after pushing up to these levels and then just absolutely getting nailed. So this is a huge gap, and that at some point it's going to fill. So I feel pretty confident at some point this will fill again. But I just don't know when, because obviously there's, the APE thing came out, and that's really hurt the stock. How's APE doing? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, and then oh yes, your favorite AVYA, right? I saw them talk about you guys. Well, I should say us. I did buy the stock too. I bought some calls for like 2024, $1. Figured they were pretty deep in the money, and that's a pretty safe bet long term. Okay. So, yeah, AVYA's done well. It's kind of pushed up, and then we're retesting this this area. And if it breaks free of here, that'll be a pretty nice run. Was there any gaps? I don't think so. Was there any major gaps? There might be a slight one there. I don't know. It's pretty hard to tell with this. You filled that one already. This is the one especially, though. It gapped down here, and that's when I thought it was pretty safe to buy down here. And Dirty's been all over these guys, so he convinced me to buy some. Yeah, Mount St. Funk knows. So with a lot of SPACs, yeah, it went to 30 and then dropped back down to 10 and then probably even went lower than that. That's what most of them do. So don't get too drawn in with new stock tickers, especially SPACs and IPOs. Kind of let the dust settle on a lot of them is what I've tended to do, because most of the time whenever they do an IPO, they're instantaneously profitable for most of the insiders and people who, you kind of think about it like this. So a lot of those guys want to get paid, right? So like think about when Robinhood IPO'd, right? So Robinhood IPOs, what was the stock price back then? It's a shame I even, yeah, like IPOs at like 30 a share, pushes all the way up to like 80, right? So this is like institutions all pumping up the stock. They get, dumb retail to buy in. Dumb retail meaning like the people who were not part of like GameStop and weren't, pissed off. Those people, like the boomers that were investing in, like, oh, I heard of Robinhood, and they buy it at 80 because it's brand new and IPO'd, and they're like, well, they must be doing pretty good. The young kids like them, not knowing that literally like everyone jumped off of the, after what they did it for GameStop. So, they pump it up, and then this is when insiders are selling all throughout here. I mean, we can pull up on Ortex, and it's pretty fascinating to kind of look at. If you pull up Hood, just look at this, right? So if you look at their insiders, they've sold 2 million shares. But look, so they started an IPO, and they already had sales, right? So was it the CEO? No, but yeah, a bunch of like officers were all selling back here, and then they've been selling all throughout here. Like nobody's buying this stock. Like everyone's selling it. That's not a good sign. When your CFO, your COO, your CEO are all just selling, 2 million shares of this company, they're getting awarded, and as soon as they get it, they sell. They know the writing's on the wall. Like the only thing that gives them value at this point is their tech is decent. So, but like, yeah. But yeah, if you compare that to here, I mean, they literally were selling on day one, and then sold more up here, and then throughout this time, and then all the way down here, they've been selling this entire time. So, just pointing that out. That's another one that like you just stay away from when these things are new. They get pumped up. Institutions want to get their money out that they put in. And they're able to do that on these like short pumps for a lot of these SPACs, IPOs, all that stuff. Because you figure these insiders got their shares, at a set price, probably much, much lower. They come out and get some company to evaluate them for, oh, you guys are worth, $1 billion. And then they put out the share prices from there. Put out a bunch of PR. Basically, the PR pumps it because your average person doesn't understand how all this works, and so they sit there and they buy up all these shares at $80 because they heard something on Market Watch or Motley Fool or Seeking Alpha or one of these hedge fund owned outlets, and these guys are dumping out while those guys are all the retailer buying, and then that's what happens. You buy it 70 a share, and next thing you know, this thing's worth $10 again. So But it's helpful to have powerful friends that work at Citadel, because they'll be the ones that help push you up. They'll take their money out. You do too. And then you can, who cares what the company's worth, you know, down the line. They're only, like, to me, the way I look at Robinhood is their only value left is basically their tech. Because they did make it a really nice interface that was easy to use. But as soon as they screwed over their own customers, that was the end of them. You can't kill your own customers, because nobody will trust you ever again, especially with the brokerage. Doing shady stuff. Like, I mean, they literally closed out a couple of transactions I had, like, before, like, they were supposed to cut off options before, like, I think it was like 10 minutes before the closing bell. They cut them off, like, without warning, and then, like, they're like, oh, there's some sort of glitch. I'm like, what are you talking about? They were in the money, like, call options, and they sold them before they were, like, just tons of shady stuff. I probably should have brought a lawsuit against them, just because all the stuff that happened during GameStop. But, anywho. So, that's kind of what's going on. What do you guys think? I mean, your thoughts on Ethereum, some of the meme stocks, obviously they've been pushed down and beat up over the last couple of weeks. You know, you got the SPY, which we should take a look at as well. All right, because remember, there were a bunch of gaps that left. Like, there's a gap up here, and we went from what, like 408 all the way down to like 400? 403, right? And we haven't filled that gap still. And then we came down. This one was fine. We gapped down here. It filled, it looks like, today. So, oh no, it might go up slightly tomorrow. So we may see a run tomorrow, pushing up to fill in this tiny gap, and then go from there for another thing. Am I in AVC? I don't think so. I might have a couple shares just to keep an eye on them, but I was going to say, if I remember correctly, I was not a huge proponent of theirs. I'll have to put up. Let me see. Yeah, these are the guys that have too much dilution on the table for me. Here's your warrants. Right, they've got these warrants. No, this one's the SPAC warrants, right? Those are 11. Was it the ATM they had? They had something that I remember being like, oh, that's what's going to happen. Let's see. Yeah, it's these. So it's 68 million shares worth of at 15 cents. So to me, when I look at an AVCT and it's sitting here at 20 cents, and that's, yeah, so there's 68 million shares to be converted and at 15 cents. So they're like already, and this is Hudson Bay doing it. So they're the same ones that kind of hit up, I think, Mullen and a couple other, like small cap, like pumps. So what they'll probably try to do is push the stock price up, and then they'll start diluting. So it could just be a warrant run right now that we're seeing here. Like, stock was down here at 15 cents, right? That's where the warrants are. And so what they do is they pushed it up, and so they've been, probably my guess is, they've been bleeding this out this entire time. They sold a bunch of, shares here, pushed the price down, and at this point they're actually selling the warrants on to the, and so it's increasing the float most likely, and so that's probably what's going to be occurring around here. So there you go. All right. Well, we'll see. I mean, you could see another run up and then they might sell off more shares. But like they've got these warrants at 15 cents. So for me, I'm not doing anything until I see, that the warrants have already been all issued out, and then I'll take a look and see what the stock's doing. So, did anyone mention that on like, where are they talking about the stock? Are they talking about like short squeeze or something? Because I feel like I've not been able to get on Reddit that often, and now I feel like, without somebody calling out, like, oh well, there's warrants on this one or this one, like, it seems. Let's see. I see. So it's getting pumped up on short squeeze. Yeah. Well, you're in here with me, and I can just tell you at least nobody here is mentioning. At least I haven't seen anything mention those 15-cent warrants, and so you got to just be very, very careful. See, it's running. Can someone film me on the news? And they're going to be like, to the moon. Let's see. Quick recap. Their situation is crap, but they had offered to sell the company at $9 a share and dismissed it. Yeah, I don't think they're raising money right now through that warrant sale. So that was just to keep the lights on, it looked like. So, yeah, I mean, just make sure you kind of understand what's going on. It may run up again, right? So it was consolidating down here. People that bought it up here at 50 cents are going to be super mad when they find out that the warrants are down here at 15 cents, and this entire thing has basically been pushed up just so they can dilute. So, because they need the money, right? How are they doing on cash? They have a month and a half left of cash based off their cash burn. So, yeah. You're seeing this run up because they're unlocking their warrants. That underwriter, which is probably... Who is the underwriter on this? Yeah, it's touching base shares, so they're probably the one pumping it, so they can get it out, push the stock up, and then they'll sell. Same sort of thing with Ethereum. So it's how you want to play it. It's just, for me, I would be buying down here. I'm not going to be buying up here because 69 million shares is a lot. Or sorry, 68 million shares is a lot to be converted, especially when your float is pretty small. Right? Or is it? No, their float's not even small. It's like 160 million maybe. Institutional ownership's only 5%. So, yeah, this is not one that I'm like super thrilled about. We'll see. It can push up, but I'm just telling you right now, they're going to probably start, trying to raise the money through these warrants. So, okay. Again, I think I'm done. I'm tired. Let's walk around. I did speak about ATER. If you watched the first part of the stream, Ethereum was covered in pretty good length. Donkey, have you seen the Muffin Man? All right. Yes, if you want to hear anything about ATER, if you've missed the first part of the stream, go back and watch it, and you will see that there were a good long section on Wyckoff and what I think is happening. Let me also pull up the fact that I'm really bad at streaming, and oh no. see. I'll probably have to do this later, but yeah, night, guys. I've got some stuff on YouTube to fix. I basically losing my phone is a nightmare. Is what I'll tell you. And so I have like my YouTube. I can't even like. I've got to do 2-step verification, and I don't have the phone, and like I can't like disable certain things. So I'm gonna have to deal with this. But you guys go ahead and go on Arby's. All right, have fun, Dirty. Have a good night, guys. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. I don't think I'm going to be in the. I think I'm going to be mainly out in the field again, but I will try to do my best to keep an eye on things. All right, night, and go back and watch if you haven't seen it on the ATER section that we covered in the beginning. If that's what you're listening for. Okay, night, guys.